Good evening, and welcome to the University of Pikeville. I'm Howard Roberts. I'm the Dean for the Coleman College of Business, and thank you for joining us this evening as we recognize and honor the careers of 7 individuals who are members of the 2021 class of the UPike Educators Hall of Fame. It has been said that a good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love for learning. This quote is applicable to each of our honorees. These inductees join a larger group of educators who have earned the distinction of inclusion in the UPike Educators Hall of Fame, and it is a pleasure to honor these individuals this evening. Dr. Lori Worth, University Provost, will deliver the invocation.
Good evening, and it's wonderful having all of you here celebrating our educators. Please bow your heads as we say a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for allowing us to be part of a community, the ability for us to gather. We do not take that for granted. I ask that you bless the individuals in this room, the individuals that we are honoring this evening. They have touched many lives over their years of service. We thank you for their dedication, their commitment to educating young people, and we thank you for their families who are here supporting them this evening. In your name we pray, amen. Thank you. And next in our program, I would like to introduce Dr. Burton Webb. He is the president of the University of Pikeville. Dr. Webb.
Well, I'd like to add my greeting to that's already been extended to you on behalf of the University of Pikeville, and it's great to see such a good group here tonight. In some years, we have a large number of distinguished educators, and in other years, that number is smaller, and it's because each year we have people who are nominated by folks in the community, and this year we have 7 truly outstanding individuals who have been nominated by people in their community. And then we go out and do research, we interview their peers, and we ask, what is it about them that makes them a truly exceptional educator? And that's the process that we use to select this group each year. And even though every year there are really dozens of folks who are nominated, we select really just the best. And we bring those to the table, and we vote on them, and then we bring them forward in this event. So when you see those names on the plaque, you know that they mean something. And for me, the process of education, particularly the education at the K through 12 level, is of crucial importance because I was saved by my 5th grade teacher. When I was a young child in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade and into the 4th grade, I was always put in an accelerated class. I remember being tested in the 4th grade for my vocabulary, and it came back that I had the vocabulary of a 2nd-year graduate student in the 4th grade. I was precocious. And I had great teachers, and that helped me to develop. But then when I got into 4th grade, my parents moved from one school to another school, and we moved from a very advanced, highly effective classroom to one that was in utter disarray, and that doesn't even do it justice. The classroom was so bad that I remember the girl behind me got tired halfway through the day and laid down in the aisle between the chairs and took a nap, and the teacher never even noticed because she was too busy reading romance novels up at the front of the classroom and not doing what I would call a teaching job. And I was worried. My parents were worried because I'd gone from advanced math skills and advanced reading skills to nothing. I was not getting any education whatsoever. And for 6 months that went on, and I became increasingly disruptive in class. I think teachers will understand what happens when a bright student gets nothing to do. It's not a good scene. It's just not. And then in 4th grade, my savior arrived, and her name was Fern Toland. I will never forget that name. Fern Toland is probably the only teacher that I could name to you from my elementary school years because she was that important in my life. She took someone who had come from an utterly undisciplined background for the last 6 months, brought discipline back into my life, and then challenged me every single day. And within weeks, I was back in the same reading group and the same math group and learning and developing and growing. And I moved from there on through, middle school and high school and was excelling all the way through. And I don't think any of that would have happened without Fern and her impact in my life. Mrs. Tolan remains that important to me. But her lessons didn't stop there, which is the thing that fascinates me. I grew up in Michigan. And several years later, I had graduated from college. I'd gone on to graduate school, finished a PhD at the Indiana University School of Medicine, and I was teaching at a small liberal arts college in Indiana. And I was there on a day in the fall, not unlike this, during homecoming weekend. It was Parents' Weekend. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it was Grandparents' Weekend. And the grandparents were showing up for my students. And I had a huge class. My class had about 120 students in it. And the class was full, but the back of the class was even more full, because what I learned from Mrs. Tolan was to be a great educator, you must be engaging in the classroom. And so my students loved to bring their grandparents to my class because they knew it would be a really fun day. I tell stories, I tell jokes, and I get a little science taught along the way. It's just how you keep folks engaged. Lo and behold, we're at the beginning of the class, and I scan the room and look for folks in the back, and there is Fern Tolan sitting in the back of the class. And I thought, I've got to say hello, but I have not seen Mrs. Tolan since the 4th grade. It has been a long, long time. I walked back to her, and I said, Mrs. Tolan, what brings you here? She said, oh, my granddaughter is in your class, and she wanted to come, and I just knew it was you. I wasn't sure, but I just knew that it was you. And she said, and besides, I know your grandmother can't make it. My grandmother at that time was 90 years old. I know she can't make it, and I thought someone should be here. That was 20 years later, folks. And here's the rest of the story. Mrs. Tolan did not miss a grandparents' day for the next 8 years. She came year after year after year, even though her grandkids were gone, because she knew that my education was not done. And I know that's what these educators know, and I know that's why they're here and why they're being honored today. So thank you for coming, because your presence here honors them, and we'll continue to do that next. Dr. Roberts?
Laura Castle has taught for 16 years at Johnson Central High School, where she established and currently teaches career pathway programs for students interested in pre-nursing and allied health. This program has grown to include 2 additional health science instructors and 2 biomedical instructors. She is passionate about helping students pursue careers in health professions. She actively participates in community programs promoting organ donation and healthy lifestyles. Congratulations, Laura Castle.
They tell me I can make some remarks. You'd think educators would be better public speakers, especially in front of their peers, but we're not. But I'd like to thank y'all for wearing your very best Sunday underwear. Y'all look great from up here. When I think about education and how my journey began, I was hired 2 days before school started. I didn't have any books, and my lab was empty. No equipment to teach those nursing skills. So to say those first 2 years or 3 years were a trial by fire is kind of an understatement. I feel like through that process that the interaction through students is what helped me learn to be an educator. As nurses, you're not really trained or taught to be a teacher, even though patient teaching is a big part of the nursing profession. So I had a ton to learn. It was all a little bit overwhelming. So I think that every time I interacted with my students and I didn't make that assignment clear and they had questions about, what they needed to do, that they're the ones that actually taught me to be the educator that I am today. Throughout our the 17 years that I've been there, we've had about 204 CNA completers through our program. And that's not counting the other allied healthcare professionals that begin their career at Johnson Central trying to figure out what it is they want to be and what they want to do whenever they graduate high school. I think the best thing about being an allied health pre-nursing instructor is seeing my former students excited posts whenever they get out of high school and they're accepted to their program, whether it's pre-nursing, whether it's nursing, as a bachelor's candidate or an associate's degree candidate, whether they've been accepted to their occupational therapy program or their pharmacy program. It's just, that's what I get a lot out of, seeing those excited posts. And then also seeing their graduation pictures when they finish that program. But the most rewarding thing is when I get to see them out in the workforce and I bump into them when I go to the doctor. And I get to actually work with them as colleagues. I work with the school nurse that works at our high school where I teach. She was one of my former students. She collaborates with Paula Hall Medical Center. I work at Carl D. Perkins Rehab Center as a PRN nurse, and I've worked with 2 of my former students. And I guess I think one of the main things that really impacted me, I'll try to cry on this, when my grandfather passed away, and we were sitting there with my family, and in comes the hospice nurse. And it's one of my former students, and she comes in there, and she's so professional, and she does her end-of-life care. And then she sees me over in the corner, and she says, "Miss Castle." She said, "Oh my goodness, Miss Castle, there you are." And I was just sitting back so touched and having a really good proud teacher moment of her, just watching her do her thing and follow her dream because of the goals that she'd met. So that's what I get the most out of my career as an educator. Hopefully I've made an impact on the lives of my students, but it can't compare to the impact that they've made on mine. Thank you.
Kim Clevenger earned 2 bachelor's degrees from Pikeville College and has completed several graduate programs that culminated in certifications in principalship and director of pupil personnel. At Pikeville Independent School System, she has served as a teacher and as assistant principal, and recently has been appointed as instructional supervisor and director of federal programs. Clevenger volunteers with after-school activities and events and is active in her church community activities. Congratulations to Kim Clevenger.
Well, I really didn't have any remarks and hate to go after her, but I just want to say how incredibly blessed that I feel to be standing on this stage tonight. And I absolutely love the field of education. I absolutely love what I do and love the children whose lives I get to be a part of. I've been a part of UPike for many years in some capacity since 1995. The best thing I think I can say is what I always have told my parents of the students. I think that the battle is won when you show the children that you care. That is what makes education, is just showing them that you care. I also think that that is what UPike is about. I think ever since I stepped through that door, they have shown me they cared. And I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of this community, a part of this college, and to be a part of the field of education.
Selena Cochran has been an educator for 15 years and is currently the digital learning coach at Porter Elementary School in Johnson County. She previously taught 2nd and 3rd grade and served as the school's curriculum coach. She serves also as a school mentor and as a church youth leader. She's an active member of the Johnson Central High School Alumni Association. Congratulations to Selena Cochran.
Thank you. This is truly an honor, and I'm very humbled to be recognized amongst so many prestigious educators. I've been very blessed, and I'm forever thankful for this institution and the many opportunities that it has provided for me. I was given the opportunity to play 4 years of a sport that I love at Pikeville, but most importantly, I was provided an education that equipped me to do the most rewarding job, one that has helped me to grow and become the person that I am today. When I graduated from Pikeville in 2005, I accepted a 2nd grade teaching position at Porter Elementary. I was a little worried about stepping into a classroom full of small children all under my direction, but thankfully to the many experiences given to me at Pikeville, I was ready to take on the challenge. Little did I know that at the time that I was getting hired at a school that would become my home, a place that I loved getting to come to each morning, a place that I loved to get to see my students become leaders, and a place that I work with people that I love like family, all of which was made possible because of this school. So this is truly an honor. Thank you.
During his college education years at Pikeville College, James Coleman volunteered as an assistant coach and tutor at Johns Creek School. For 25 years, he has served as a teacher there and is the building assessment coordinator and school technology coordinator and a member of the site-based council. He has been inducted into the Hall of Fame by the Kentucky Association for Academic Competitions and by Pike County Schools. Mr. Coleman could not be with us tonight due to illness, but let's give him a round of applause. Shauna Lynn Patton enjoyed a 33-year career in the Johnson County school system, where she served as a primary teacher, district science resource teacher, K-12 supervisor of instruction, and personnel director. She volunteers extensively in her community of Paintsville, and she has been honored as Ashland Oil's Teacher of the Year and the Kentucky District Assessment Coordinator of the Year. She's held leadership roles such as Johnson County's District Assessment Coordinator and Federal Programs Coordinator. Congratulations to Shauna Lynn Patton.
Good evening, and what an honor and a privilege it is to be here tonight. We've heard the words from the ones that have already gotten to speak, the words of honor, the words of humbleness, and that is truly how we feel, because when you have an opportunity to get to work with students and to make a difference in their lives, it's just the best feeling in the world. And now that I am retired and I reflect back on my 33 years, there's not an opportunity, there isn't a day, there isn't a moment that I will ever forget. Every job, and I've had a lot of jobs in Johnson County school system, to the point that I kind of think people wonder, maybe she can't keep a job, because it just varies. But every position that I have had, I have never taken it for granted, and I've given it my all. I've embraced every opportunity and every position. So I don't know if it's because they believed in me or if there was nobody else gullible enough to take some of these jobs. But definitely I learned so much along the way, and just embraced the entire learning experience. But I think back also about honor being another way too. And I'm so honored to have gotten, number one, I'm honored to be here tonight and that somebody out there thought enough about me to take the time to fill out an application for me and to nominate me. That's just the best feeling. So if you're out there, I thank you very much. And then I go in another direction too. I'm so honored to have gotten to serve 33 years in an Appalachian school district. I'm so honored that I got to have 33 years in the Johnson County school system, the school system that raised me since I was 5 years old. So it's just, you say honor, 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 but it is exactly what it is. It's humbling and it's an honor. And so honored that I got to not only teach these children, but to help them learn and to help them grow into the best person that they can be. And not only the children, but whenever you are a teacher, you are also making a difference in families. And you're making a difference in the community. And I think that is why, as educators, we have such a sense of loving and caring and serving and having that servant leadership heart. And that's what it takes, because if you don't love the teaching profession, then you're going to be miserable. But it's just that great of an experience. So looking back in 1988, when I was hired as a kindergarten teacher in Johnson County schools, and then just very recently, just months ago, leaving as an instructional supervisor and a personnel director. And the things I learned along the way, it was just massive, and I will never forget everything that I learned, and the little things that you learn along the way about truly loving, truly caring, and truly serving the area of Johnson County and the entire Appalachian area. And I'll leave you with this. Appalachian students are so, so, so important. And we as educators, most of us that are here educating in the Appalachian, we have ties because most of us grew up here. So we really get it. We really understand. And in my positions, as I've traveled across Kentucky and even in other states, it is amazing to me that you don't always see that care. And I can honestly say, without reservation at all, that the Appalachian educators are the best that's out there. So I thank you. I love each of you, and may God bless all of you. Thank you.
Mark Gannon is the principal of Belfry High School, and prior to that, he was a social studies teacher and an assistant principal. He also served as coach and assistant coach for girls basketball, and by 2 newspapers was named Coach of the Year. He is involved in educational innovation in both regional and local levels. He has been recognized with the William S. Justice Excellence in Teaching Award and is recognized in national who's who among America's teachers. Congratulations to Mark Gannon.
Short and sweet. I'm humbled and honored. Thank you for the Pike and the committee, and especially to my wife at 34 years, my inspiration and motivation. Thank you.
Paula Smith's 33-year career in education began at Beaumont Junior High School in Lexington and culminated at Pikeville High School, where she taught art until her retirement in 2015. She has also taught as an adjunct professor of art at the University of Pikeville. Smith has a passion for art and for Appalachia, and retirement allows her to devote more time to these interests. She is active in the community with organizations such as the Arts House and the Appalachian Center for the Arts. She is a recipient of the University of Kentucky Blue Ribbon Award, and her art is displayed throughout the United States and Ireland. Congratulations to Paula Smith.
Thank you. Teacher, that word has such power. We, as teachers, can calm a crying child on the first day of school. We, as teachers, can silence a classroom with just one look. And we always have change in our pockets at break time, just in case. We love to watch our young students grow and learn. The first day of high school is another step. We prepare for the next 4 years knowing that education is the doorway to success. We, as teachers, learn more from our students than we could ever imagine. I have a trunk filled with thank you notes, cards, and letters from my students, and I cherish them all. Someday, I'm going to write a book about what really matters in teaching. After teaching in Lexington for 4 years, I longed to come back home to the mountains. I secured a teaching job in a small eastern Kentucky town. My outdoor classroom was warmed with a small gas-burning stove. The custodian gave me some matches and said, "Step back when you light this stove." I heeded his advice. The custodian supplied classroom with a few tables and chairs, and I bought my own teaching supplies, put up art posters, and eagerly awaited for my 5th and 6th grade students. Before each class, I had to go carry buckets into the schoolhouse, down to the basement, fill the buckets with clean water for the next class. I had an eager group of 5th and 6th graders who had never had an art teacher. These students were so careful with their brushes. They washed them and laid them out to dry and cleaned up their tables. A young boy nicknamed Rooster volunteered every day to sweep the classroom. Most of my students had never used watercolor or tempera or even had an art lesson. When my lesson started, I watched my students creating in silence, knowing that art is not what you see, but what we make others see. One day, a teacher asked me if a special needs child could participate in my art class, and I said yes. When I sat down with this student, I began a lesson on how to mix colors. I laid out blue and yellow and began to mix green. The student suddenly grabbed my hands and said, "You have magic in your hands." That day, he taught me a lesson. Teachers do have magic in their hands, the magic to change the world.
Confucius said that education builds confidence. Confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. We are truly grateful for the careers of these educators. Let's give them another round of applause.
Thank you for being here tonight to recognize these outstanding members of the profession. You know, we started this program 10, 11 years ago to demonstrate that teaching was the most important responsibility of what was then Pikeville College and now is the University of Pikeville. And it is still the most important job of this institution because it's the most important, other than the ministry, it's the most important profession, as a whole, more important than being governor or even being president. Because a Chinese philosopher once observed, civilization is only one generation deep. And if any generation fails to pass along the accumulated knowledge of the ages, that civilization will disappear. And that has happened many times in the history of the world. So we here want to continue to provide that service to Central Appalachia and recognize those people that get involved in it. Teaching obviously has had a very important impact on my life. I ended up getting somehow a degree from the University of Kentucky many years ago. Of all the professors that I had at the University of Kentucky, I only remember the name of one. But in high school, I believe I could just about tell you the name of every teacher that I had in high school, because that was a very formative part of my life. And let me guarantee you that I can tell you every teacher that I had in grade school. In that little 4-room school there in Fallsburg, I can tell you every teacher. And one of them probably had more influence on my life than anybody outside of my family. And that was Miss Sarah Rice, our 5th and 6th grade teacher. She got me involved in 4-H club. The first time that I had an opportunity to develop leadership skills and perhaps public speaking skills and perhaps working on project skills. And I sort of went on from there and sort of turned out pretty good. And when she passed away a few years ago, I asked for the opportunity to be able to speak at her funeral because I wanted the people of that little community to realize that even after I left Fallsburg, even after I left Louisa, after I left the University of Kentucky, Miss Rice continued to provide me advice when she thought I needed it. Sometimes it was a pat on the back. Sometimes it was an admonition to do a little bit better. And she never hesitated to let me know. She would write me letters while I was governor and letters after I left the governorship. That's the kind of influence that teachers have on people's lives. And that's the reason that as today we honor these 7 or 8 people in specific, what we do in general is we honor their profession. So if you're involved in teaching, passing on that knowledge, then rest assured that you are doing an important job, perhaps the most important job, and certainly one that we here at the University of Pikeville respect and thank you for. So thank you all for being involved. Thank you all for being here tonight. And I believe I'm the end of the program. Is that about right? All right, you're dismissed, as they used to say in school.